Michael Jackson was declared dead on June 25th, 2009 at 2:26 p.m. The question was, why? Just days earlier, Jackson had seemed perfectly healthy, rehearsing for his This Is It comeback tour.
Allegations made against the performer. As the story unfolds, there will be a lot more to say about Michael Jackson.
Michael, do you think it's murder?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's going to lead to some criminal prosecutions?
It's looking that way so far. It's very clear when you see especially the most recent footage of Michael Jackson, he was doing better than ever. It seems very, very unlikely that it was a normal or naturally caused death. And that means that it's likely drug-induced. And that means that it's some kind of a drug combination or cocktail that probably he shouldn't have had. And that means somebody gave him drugs they shouldn't have given him.
And is that a crime?
That's a
If the death was murder, and if the death was drug-induced, the prime suspect had to be Jackson's live-in doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray. Murray lived with Jackson 6 days a week.
Any sign of life in Mr. Jackson during the entire time that you were attempting to save him?
No, I did not.
Emergency room responders who rushed to Michael Jackson's bedroom said the singer appeared to be dead when they arrived.
His skin was very cool to the touch. His eyes were open, they were dry, and his pupils were dilated. When I hooked up the EKG machine, it was flatline.
Testimony bolstered accounts of Dr. Conrad Murray scooping vials of medicine into a black bag as he minimized Jackson's condition, never mentioning the powerful drugs in the pop star's system.
Did Dr. Murray provide you with any information as to what Dr. Murray was treating him for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He was treating him for dehydration and exhaustion.
And that's all?
That's all.
It's a reflection of his guilty conscience because he's intentionally covering up what medication he gave Michael Jackson. It also shows a callous indifference to his patient because possibly his patient could have been revived or could have been saved.
Paramedics say they wanted to declare Jackson dead in his bedroom. It was Murray who insisted the singer be taken to the hospital, though through it all, they never saw any signs of life.
Murray claims that Jackson trapped him into giving him the propofol that killed him in the end by begging Murray to inject it into his system when he couldn't sleep. Murray felt trapped by the singer. Murray claims that if he gets a chance to present this case to the appellate court, that he hopes he'll be able to present more information as to Jackson's mental state at the time as well. The key factors that proved that the doctor was guilty was that Murray had been administering this propofol to Jackson every night for the last 2 months of his life, and the propofol is not treated for insomnia. They don't mix. Jackson was on and off sleep that day/night. At one point, Murray left the room for 2 minutes, leaving Jackson heavily sedated and alone. And when the doctor returned, Jackson wasn't breathing. A woman named Sade Anding testified to being on the phone with Murray when he noticed Jackson wasn't breathing. She said he stopped talking, and for 3 or 4 minutes she just heard the sound of coughing and mumbling. In anesthesiology and drugs in motion, searched Jackson's room and found 17 things wrong with Murray's standard of care. And then there was the issue of the 911 call. These are the primary issues with the 911 call. Jackson wasn't breathing at 11:56 a.m. The doctor did not call 911 until 12:20 p.m. During that time, he tried to resuscitate Jackson himself, claiming he didn't call 911 because he didn't know Jackson's zip code. When it was made at 12:20 p.m., the paramedics were there by 12:26 p.m., but Jackson was already dead.
Dr. Murray's course of conduct extended over a period of time. Dr. Murray repeatedly lied, engaged in deceitful misconduct, and endeavored to cover up his transgressions. He violated the trust of the medical community, of his colleagues, and of his patient. And he has absolutely no sense of remorse, absolutely no sense of fault, and is and remains dangerous. It's easy to say, oh, well, Dr. Murray's a medical doctor. He's a smart, sophisticated man. He does not have a criminal history. He may not be licensed to practice medicine in the future, although that has nothing to do with me. I have no authority over that. The fact remains, Dr. Murray is offended by that patient dying. And I don't have any idea what will prompt Dr. Murray to do or not do something in the future that may be dangerous to a patient. If he does practice medicine in the United States or even elsewhere, I think Dr. Murray is so reckless, based upon the law and the definition of criminal negligence that I read, and everything that I heard and saw in this case, and Dr. Murray's subsequent conduct, that I believe he's a danger to the community. I've taken into account all of the factors. I've stated my reasons, and those reasons, the nature and character of the offense, distinguish this charge of involuntary manslaughter in this case, and this conviction of involuntary in this case, from other cases involving involuntary manslaughter. And there's a fundamental aspect of the criminal justice system which is involved here, and that is the fundamental aspect of punishment.
Murray was sentenced to 4 years in jail and $100 million owed to Jackson's children in compensation for what Jackson would have made had he lived to go on this tour. I agree with the verdict. I do think it was involuntary manslaughter. I don't agree with the punishment. I think 4 years in jail is okay. It's fine. But he should owe those kids a lot more than $100 million, because had their father lived and died naturally, he would have made a lot more than that. Also, Murray does plan to I think he already has filed for the Court of Appeals, and he has to wait probably 8 to 12 months until he hears back as to whether or not they'll hear the case. The lawyer all set and is ready to take it up to their level and try and get down to half the money owed. And this is a crime. This is a man killing another man. This isn't necessarily about a man who killed Michael Jackson. I mean, he could have killed his neighbor, and I wouldn't have thought differently.